Good evening. I am calling to order the March 18th, 2025 Fountain City Council meeting. Please stand if able with us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mayor Thompson,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Rick,
Here.
Councilmember Hinton,
Here.
Councilmember Geek. Here. Councilmember Estes. Councilmember Estes. Councilmember Estes is attending virtually, so we'll come back. Councilmember Hertzberg. Here. Councilmember Duncan.
Present.
Councilmember Estes, can you hear us?
Okay, you're muted, Councilmember Estes.
Chris, can you unmute her?
I'm here. My mic was disabled.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I have 7 members present, 2 virtual. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That takes us on to item 4.1, presentations, beacon update, and current fountain statistics. And Officer, I don't want to,
I will cover this for you, Madam Mayor.
okay.
Good evening, Mayor Council. Tonight we've got Officer Echo DiMarucat and her clinician Blair, and Patrick is our other clinician. He normally works with Gino Gonzalez, who's not here tonight, but they're going to give you a quick update on the Beacon program, answer any questions you all may have, and kind of give us some updated statistics.
Okay, for those who may not know, can you give the acronym what Beacon stands for?
Yes, Beacon is Behavioral Health Connection.
Okay,
Yes, and they will take it away from here.
all right, thank you.
So Beacon is Behavioral Connect. It's a team of an officer and a clinician that ride together and respond to mental health calls for service, or people that are in crisis from drug use as well. So currently we have 4 teams. Katie and Christensen are Beacon 1. Christensen's actually on light duty, so Katie's kind of just floating around in county. Myself, Officer DiMarucat, and Blair are Beacon 3. Gonzalez and Patrick, again, Gonzalez isn't here, but this is Patrick. And then we have Vanderpool and Chester up in
Palmer Lake.
Palmer Lake. They're working on getting more teams. I think they're working on training another clinician for EPSO right now, El Paso County Sheriff's Department. We help them out as well as they help us out. We respond to each other's calls since we're so close together. We also have a case manager. Her name's Brandy. We do referrals to her. Officers can also do referrals to her. And that just has her follow up later and provide further resources and see if there's anything else we can do, or if they need another in-person response or anything of that nature. I don't know how to work this. So basically, the Beacon unit allows other officers to respond to other calls for service, to take their time. The crisis calls take a while because we need to be able to talk them down from whatever they're experiencing at that time, and then make sure we get them to the right places, whether that is
So, yeah, so you're so
Keeping them
good.
in place.
You're so good. So keeping them in place is our goal if we can. Then we also have the ability to do the transport.
Can I get you
now
to
that we
step
can-
closer to the mic,
Oh,
please?
yep.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I am so short. Okay. So we try to stabilize in place if we can. What'd you say? Yes. And then we do have the ability to do transport, so we can take them to Diversis, which is the walk-in center. They also have an acute treatment unit that we can place people at. We can do the transports to Cedar Springs, Peakview, and any of the hospitals, of course. So we try to alleviate the time and the energy for other officers so that we can do that and they can go back to handling other calls for service. If we are able to stabilize in place, we complete a full evaluation that lets us do those direct admits to places, or we safety plan, which is an evidence-based tool that we use so that we can go over triggers, coping strategies, and making sure that if there's guns or anything like that in the household, that we can confirm and verify that those are being secured so people are not having direct access to them.
And the Beacon units also carry gun safe locks on board and safes for medications and other weapons that might need to be locked up for a person who can control that and keep it away from the person in crisis until they're ready to be safe with those items again. So these are the types of calls that we go to. We go to check the welfares, suicidal check the welfares, suicide attempts, suicides, outside agency assists, that'll be with like fire department on elderly patients with dementia, at risk or Alzheimer's or something of that nature. Unfortunately, there's not much that we can do with them, but we at least try to, again, safety plan with them and make sure that they're gonna be safe or have a safe person with them. We also respond to domestic violence. We do follow-up from prior calls for service. We occasionally assist with Fort Carson in reporting soldiers with also PTSD and suicidal ideations. We try to provide any type of support that we can. So for the suicides, we try to provide support for grief counseling and things like that for the family that's left behind. Suicide attempts, again, we do the evaluations and safety plans and things like that. Of course, if it's a legitimate attempt and they need to go somewhere, we do place them on those mental health holds and transport them to where they need to be. These are our stats. I put about 4 months worth of stats on there just so you can see that there's quite a difference in each month. Sometimes we have more encounters than others, but that's basically, this is what the clinicians report to the state. It's only if they do an evaluation or anything like that. Of course, I have a tracking system as well that shows a little bit more, just because there's some calls that she doesn't report to the state on. But it shows our average time for contact and each month. Each month is different. It's hard to estimate how many types of calls we're gonna get. Sometimes it's dependent on the weather. Sometimes it's dependent on we've already helped so many people that they already have their coping skills and they're doing well.
Council, I just wanted to kind of clarify a little bit. You know, some questions have come up about the numbers, and I think there's such a variation based on so many different environmental circumstances. When COVID was at its peak and the after effects of that, Beacon was super busy trying to get those coordinated, and so many people needed help during those times. And now that it's kind of stabilized, like Echo said, you know, there's a lot of people that they touch base with, and there's so much work behind the scenes. The numbers you all get are the numbers that Blair and Patrick are reporting to the state. But there's a lot of follow-up work going on that you're not getting those follow-up numbers that consume a lot of their time as well. And then I think their presentation's done. If you guys have any questions, they're free to answer.
Is there any questions from any council members at the dais? Mr. Councilmember Hinton.
So is there a non-emergency number that a person can call versus 911 if they're needing?
Yes, sir. That's just the Fountain Police Department non-emergent number, which is 719-382-8555. And they would just request for a mental health unit or a Beacon unit.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Duncan.
So, do we have anyone that is patrol with you at night? Do we have a Beacon team member here during the evening and night hours?
Not right now, no, ma'am.
Not right now. Both of us work 6 to 4. I'm Sunday through Wednesday, and Patrick is Wednesday to Friday, but right now we don't have coverage in Fountain past 4 o'clock on a Beacon unit.
El Paso County does have units occasionally after 5 till 9.
About that time, and then Palmer Lake runs 11 to 9.
So if Palmer Lake can handle phone calls or calls for service by phone, they will help out if they can.
Okay, so the numbers that we're getting, do they include the phone calls?
If it's a follow-up, no, ma'am, it doesn't include those. They don't do notes or safety plans or anything like that on follow-ups, so that it's not tracked through the state.
Okay, because I was just checking, the chief knows my concerns that there were, I went back to even 2021, and we went from like 12,000, we went to 1,200 to 21 and I was wondering what is the significant difference in, those are thousands of calls that we're not handling anymore. So I'd like to know why the numbers are so different.
The documentation has changed. So like I said, they're not documenting the follow-ups anymore, just because they're not doing the safety plans or the evaluations on follow-ups or resources or things like that. So the state's not getting those numbers, but the Fountain Police Department does have a tracking system that we do ourselves.
Yeah, I will say the follow-ups are different. If we do an in-person follow-up, we can document that with our system. If the tracking is a little different for phone call follow-ups because it has to be documented under like a previous call. It's not its own call, if that makes sense. It's hard to
doing
show
the
it without
dice
showing what Epic looks like.
Just
But
tell them I'm
if
doing
it's
the
an
dice
in-person follow-up, that can be its own call. If it's done by phone, it has to be tracked under a different follow-up thing in Epic, so it just does not show as like a call for service.
It doesn't show as a statistic on those
Yes.
numbers that you're getting.
Okay, so the payment, is it based off the numbers or?
Councilmember Duncan, the money that we reimburse UC Health is based on the total hours that the case manager is logging and the total hours that Ms. Blair is logging. So we only pay hours worked for both follow-up and all the cases that she sends to the state. So we're only being billed for those hours worked for our cases.
Okay. I'm just trying to, because when I went back and looked to see, it was like, wow, did we arrest everybody and put everybody in jail? Or,
Yeah, there's not a flat fee that we pay UC Health. It is purely hourly, and Commander Racine is the one that calculates and makes sure those numbers are accurate. In fact, he caught a significant error last week, and we got that rectified, and we would have paid too much. But Matt handles all of the logistics behind the scene on that, so we pay by the hour.
Okay, thank you.
I agree. I think it does look a little confusing because I've looked back at those numbers too. And I think it just looks odd, and like when the state changes how they report accidents.
Yeah, like a lot of
It looks different from
things-
one year to another. So maybe we need to have some kind of record in that, understanding the difference in the tracking.
Okay, yep. And
Yeah.
we can start providing you with some of ECHO's independent data to get you maybe two different sets of numbers. And then always know that we evaluate the best times to have Beacon out there working where there's most volume. And those are the times when school hours are in session, kids are not conforming to parents, and they have a lot of issues going on at home. And so we've placed them in the most effective hours, which is why, believe it or not, nighttime, there's not as many calls for mental health as there are during the day because most people are out and about and doing their lives during the day. And so that's why they're working those hours right now. We constantly evaluate those and adjust if needed.
So if
And
someone
I-
has
oh,
a
go ahead.
family member in their home and they're having some struggles, can they call and get the plan put in place before they're in the middle of a crisis or having an emergency?
Yeah, if they want to call and talk to
Step-
if they want to call and talk to a mental health unit and try to set up a safety plan with us before anything happens, they definitely can. Again, they would just have to call the non-emergent number and just request for a Beacon unit to come and talk with them.
I will say about the safety plans, our only, I say obstacle with it is that ethically, we're not allowed to do those by phone because it's like an evidence-based tool, like I said. So they can start talking about it with us, but it's definitely something we should respond to in person if able to, because that stuff definitely needs to be taking place in person versus over the phone. And we cannot conduct evaluations over the phone either, because we need to have eyes on the person, so.
Right, right, I get all that, yeah.
Yeah.
I just, the more people can have in plans if they're struggling with someone in their house, the better. Okay, is there any other questions up here on the dais? Okay, Councilmember Hertzberg.
Thank you. I was just curious, so outside the beacon hours, if there was a call that would have benefited from it, what happens to that person in that situation?
Most of our officers at the Fountain Police Department are trained in crisis intervention training, so they do know how to handle people in crisis, and they do know how to place the mental health holds. And I have put a PowerPoint together for them as well to show them how to work through all of that paperwork. So they are able to do it without a beacon unit.
And then they can put in the beacon referral for our case manager, and if it needs to be done like the next day that one of the teams are in, they can send us an email and we can do a follow-up in person or give them, the family, a call if they were placed somewhere.
And that would be not tracked on the stats that you guys get because it's done by an officer and not the beacon unit.
Okay, any other questions up here on the dais? Okay, do we have any questions online? Which person online? Councilmember Rick, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes, thank you. I have two questions. First, is probably, Chief is probably going to be able to answer this one. We have mutual aid to where our beacon teams, it sounds like, are going outside of the city to assist El Paso County. You were talking about billing and us paying for hours. Are we paying for when the beacon team goes outside of Fountain, or is El Paso County paying for that?
Councilmember Rick, El Paso County would pay for those billable hours for their cases and their case manager working those. I don't know, Blair, do we have the same case manager that works all of them?
Yes.
Yep, so Fountain is billed separately just for our cases in our city's jurisdiction.
Okay, thank you. And then secondly, have we had any opportunities to send the beacon team out with code enforcement when they're going to deal with the homeless population? There's a lot of homeless out there. They have issues, and it's a fine line between, well, this person has issues and this person is not safe to be around or is a danger to themselves or others. And that's a line the clinician can tell us best where that is. So I'm curious about that.
Yes, we do respond with code enforcement to some calls, and we have resources for housing and mental health help for homeless. I also carry blankets and socks and beanies and stuff like that in my vehicle for them as well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your answers, Madam Mayor. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, any last questions?
If you could just repeat the number again for the public.
Yep, it's 719-382-8555.
And they will probably be leaving a message at that phone number, correct?
No, ma'am, they'll be talking with our dispatchers. It's the non-emergent dispatch line.
And is that,
It'll
that's
have
not
an
manned
automated.
24/7, is it? That is manned 24/7, okay. All right. Okay. Just want to make sure. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all you guys are doing, and appreciate it. So thank you. All right, that takes us on to item 4.2, Board, Commission, and Committee Reports. There are none tonight. That takes us to item 5, Correspondence, Comments, and Ex Officio Reports. Mr. Trainer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Nothing from me at this time.
Chris?
Nothing from the city attorney, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll just go down the row, everybody.
Nothing from transportation.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor. Dan Blankenship, Utilities Director. I'm going to ask Brett to step up to the microphone. While he's stepping up there, we want to address a couple of comments that were made at the most recent council meeting about the level of service that we provide to individuals who are in need of assistance with their bill pay. One of the things that I did in looking into this matter was listen to some of the phone calls. And we record at least the initial phone calls. In this particular situation, the customer service rep customer service specialist Stephanie Payne did a phenomenal job of customer service. She did so well that I felt compelled to send her a note thanking her and giving her an A+ in her level of customer service. I was very, very impressed. And then when I sat down with Brett, he actually shared with me some other recordings in a situation that could have gone badly. The customer started with a little bit of an edge, but finished with calling Stephanie sweet young lady, and it was very endearing. It went from edgy to endearing, and I attributed 100% to how she handled the situation. She even took the liberty to waive a late payment, taking into consideration what the situation was, and didn't have to escalate that. So this individual does a phenomenal job, but I want to have Brett go ahead and just address a couple of the concerns that were raised at the last council meeting. So Brett Robinson, our customer service manager.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council. I'm here to address the public comment from City Council last meeting. And it was stated that the City of Fountain Utilities isn't assisting customers. We aren't helping with those that are struggling with their utility bills. And I want to assure you that we are helping. And I want to share some specifics with you. So in the year of 25, this year, the last 2 months, we have assisted 224 customers with payment arrangements. Last year, the number of payment arrangements was approximately 1,056. For 2023, it was 1,142 individuals that were offered payment arrangements. And if those that don't understand what a payment arrangement is, that's where you can call before your bill is due and you can ask us that we extend your billing due date to offer you a payment arrangement. So we've averaged about 100 PAs every month. We average probably about 1,200 annually. I have numbers going back to 2015 to showcase. We track those metrics. The other thing that I would like to share with council is if a customer is having financial hardship, that please reach out to customer service. If your account meets the eligibility requirements, we will offer a payment arrangement and or refer you to some type of assistance agencies that may help you. So please, I will stress this, that prior to your due date, please reach out to Customer Service Utilities. There are some eligibility requirements for per our city's customer service rules and regulations. So I just want to share some of those with you guys. The other thing I want to share in reference is we have some material in the back of the room for the public as well as the community. We also have some assistance agencies that are also listed here that we hand out to the public as well. So to be eligible for a payment arrangement, there's a little bit of criteria. You're allowed 1 per quarter, up to 4 a year. They must be requested during normal business hours and no later than the payment due date. You must not have defaulted on any previous payment arrangements in the previous 12-month period. And you must not have been disconnected more than once in a previous 12-month period. You are allowed to be late on your payment. You are allowed even up to disconnection. We will still offer you a payment arrangement. You're still eligible. The other thing is balances in excess of 90 days or $750 must be paid prior to entering into a payment arrangement. So if you're 3 months behind on your bills, unfortunately, you may not qualify if it's in excess of 90 days or a threshold of $750. In addition to payment arrangements, what we call PAs, we also refer folks to assistance agencies. We partner with Salvation Army and some other folks that administer some of our assistance programs. One of them is Lighten the Load. Lighten the Load is exclusively funded from late fees. So for each late fee that is assessed, it's $10. We take 12% of that, $1.20. $1.20 we will take, and that will exclusively fund this Lighten the Load fund. So there's several agencies that are out there that will administer these programs. Lighten the Load is one of them. Energy Outreach Colorado is another one. We call it EOC and Lighten the Load. So to give you some stats, from January to February, 47 customers have been assisted for $16,908. That's in the last 2 months, guys. So in 2024, 240 customers were provided $89,375 in assistance. In 2023, 261 customers were provided assistance for $104,665. So $104,000 in 2023, 261 customers, they've been offered assistance and they've received assistance for their utility payments. So the next statement that I'd like to address was the customer was not given a reason why they couldn't have a payment arrangement. Well, even though we did not cite the eligibility terms per the rules and regulations, a reason was given. The account did not qualify for a PA because the balance exceeded both the requirements, 90 days past due, and it was over the $750 threshold. If we are asked for a specific reason, we will provide a specific reason. It's our desire, and we will gladly provide assistance to those who meet the qualifying factors to receive either a payment arrangement or assistance that are established within our rules. So although it may not seem customer-friendly, there are thresholds, and we set these thresholds and honored to keep both the customer and the city from getting overextended. That's why we have these thresholds in place. So pending any questions, that's all I have for you, Council.
Okay, is there any questions from anyone here on the dais? Councilmember Hinton.
Yeah, I appreciate you laying this out for us, Dan, and appreciate you doing that too for us and just setting the record straight. Sometimes the narrative can be set one-sided, and there's two sides to every story, and I just want to put out to the public, this is not a threat. If you come out and say stuff against the city and you say it in public, we'll address those issues are in public. It's not something, it's transparency. So it's fair on both sides of on the dicey. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I think the underlying message is, if you're having struggles for whatever reason, you don't have to tell us that, but, just contact us as soon as possible.
Sure.
And to work with you. And I think that's the underlying message. Any other, Councilmember Hertzberg?
I just wanted to ask, so if they don't meet the criteria, they're over $700 or they're more than 90 days over, what would be the recommended next step? Just a referral to an outside agency, or what is that scenario?
That's
How
correct.
does that play out?
We would refer them to an assistance agency, and they have their own qualifying criteria to meet their funding requirements,
Okay, perfect, thank you.
so they can offer assistance to folks.
So if their bill was 800 or 850 and they brought it down to the 750, then could you work with them?
Potentially, yes.
Potentially, yeah, there might be other, the other factors, right?
Right.
Or if they were more than 90 days overdue and they brought it up to the 90 day, paid some of the really old, then potentially you might be able to look at them again. Everything in
Sure.
life has qualifications, right? No matter what
Right,
you're applying
right.
for, it all has qualifications. Okay,
Sure.
so,
Yeah, we also consider factors like, is the account in good standing? Have they been a faithfully paying customer? They pay their bill every single month, you know? Unfortunately, this other account was not at the time.
okay, thank you. Councilmember Hinton?
I just want to say, I believe it's fair. 90 days is a lot of time, and 750 is, you know, when you're getting to that point, right? And so if you don't do it early enough, you can't come back and blame somebody else for your mistake. And I'm just on one of these ones tonight, and so I appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay.
Right. Everybody has something happen once in a while. Right. Okay, any other questions on the dais? Anybody with a hand raised from my two council members online? No? Okay. All right, so any questions, send them to Brett?
Send them to me. Brett Robinson, Customer Service Manager. I'm happy to help.
All right, thank you, Brett, thank you. And I appreciate all the time,
Thank you.
because we do want to make sure we're getting people's questions answered, so
Sure.
thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you,
All right,
Madam Mayor.
Thank you. All right, anything else, Dan?
Nothing this evening. Thank you.
Okay, Chief? Chief?
Just one thing, we have our award ceremony coming up March 26th. We won't see you all before then, so of course, everyone's invited. You're welcome to attend. It's during lunchtime hours if you can. We'd appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Taylor in the back row, anything? Okay. All right, is there any, I can't see anybody else in the back row? Okay. All right, Joni?
Nothing, thank you.
IT? All right. Okay, thank you very much. Let's bring it back up here then. I'm going to change things up, and I will go to council members online first. So I'll give you a second to unmute, and I will start with Councilmember Estes. Do you have anything tonight?
Nothing really tonight, just sorry I'm not there on the dais, but glad I could join online.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Rick?
Nothing tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Geek?
Nothing, thank you.
Councilmember Hinton?
Nothing tonight.
Councilmember Hertzberg?
Yes, one thing, I just wanted to mention that I attended the 1st Stryker Brigade, a combat team change of command, where they welcomed a new leader, Colonel John Tesserand. Great individual, a nice family. I invited him to visit us at council. I said we'd love to welcome him and his family to the community. That's it.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Duncan?
I just want to say that we're still in the month of March, and it is recognized as Women's History Month. And here in Fountain, we have a good bit of women who have businesses here in Fountain. So I would like to say that please patronize those businesses that are owned by women here in our city. Not that we don't recognize the businesses for men, but we know for women that's a extra kudos to owning a business in the city. And we're getting calls about businesses being built and opening in the King Soopers area. I did talk to our city manager, our city staff. If you want to know what businesses that are being opened in that area, to please contact the city. I got a call saying something about a Starbucks opening there, and the citizens, they don't want that there. I haven't heard that. We keep getting, all of these, this business is open and this business is open. So I don't know if you want to say something to that, Scott.
I know there's always a lot of speculation when we have these commercial developments. We don't have a whole lot of say, whether it's a Starbucks or a Dutch Brothers or a Whataburger. It's just, they're allowed to come in those zones. So I'm not familiar with that one in particular. We have a number of businesses right now that are working through their approval processes and that are actually more working through their agreements with the King Soopers, with the property developer over there.
So stay tuned, and just want to talk about a couple of bills that are being watched, and not to say that I support or not support these bills, but to talk about, there's a House Bill 1225. It's the Freedom from Intimidation in Elections Act. And this bill prohibits any individual from intimidating or threatening or coercing an individual for voting. There's another bill, House Bill 1295, talks about food truck operations. This one, some of the language is banning food trucks where restaurants are allowed, limiting the number of days food trucks can operate, being 50 feet from food establishment. Senate Bill 25077, modifications to Colorado Open Records Act. This bill extends timeline for responding to CORA requests. There's bills about broadband utilities, House Bill 251113, limited turf in new residential areas. I'm just going through these to say that there are a variety of bills. There's over 500 bills that are being presented, and it's worth your time to go to, to look online. It's worth your time if you are interested in anything that's concerning you or your business or your residential area, to please, if you can't go to Denver, you can always go online and look at what's being discussed. They have committees. So I urge you to do that, to please don't just take someone's word, to take a little time and see what's going on. It's interesting. You can testify if you like, and you can do that virtually. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Attended PPACG last week, and quite a few things on the agenda. And of course, coming up is the state budget and the $1.2 billion shortfall in the state budget. Hannah Parsons, our commissioner for CDOT, we talked about the CDOT budget. In 2021, there was a bill passed, Senate Bill 260, that $100 million went into the state fund for transportation. And there's a lot of concerns that for 2025 budget, they're going to try to claw back that $100 million and potentially not fund the state, put that into CDOT. They might take some of it all, they might take all of it, they might take a portion of it. It's really unknown, and if they take a portion of it, when do they put it back? Do they put it back? And so a lot of concerns with where your tax dollars are going as far as being used for what they were intended to be used for. So Peterson Air Force Base said, if you're in the military, this will make a lot of sense to you. They're splitting back to all be separate entities again, so they'll all have their separate commanders and different things from Peterson and Schriever and all that. For now, they're splitting up. If you do save the date of the Air Force Academy graduation, it is May 29th, so you might want to put that, save the date on your calendar if you like to watch the air show or attend that. Fort Carson has started planning for their 100th anniversary, which will be in 2042, but they're already starting their plans, getting things rolling along. I know it, and they've been here a while. But again, a $1.2 billion anticipated budget shortfall. My feeling is they just need to send some local government people up there to tell them how to make the cuts in their budget, and we can get it done for them. And but nobody's taken me up on that yet. So Jennifer, I'll take you up there with me, huh? My budget person over there, huh? All righty. And concerns with AAA, which is the Area on Aging, because 65% of their funds come from federal budgets, and we don't know if there's cuts coming, and so a lot of concerns there. And the word on the street is, if you have a federal grant that you're in the process of using up the money, it's better to spend that money sooner rather than later, not wait till September, October, November. But go ahead and spend that money now because it's in your pocket now, and figure out a way to get it done. And the senior budget for the state, there's $2 million that were put into the budget last year is probably not going to be put in it again this year. And so they're telling our agencies that are assisting seniors, providing transportation, other things, be prepared to cut your budgets anywhere from 10 to 25%. So not a lot of good news on the front there, and a lot of unknowns with the state, and a lot of cuts that need to be done. So that brought up a lot of, conversations, and Andy put together some slides for us that I sent to Scott, and they're just great detail, went into a lot of detail on where all the various funding comes from different things. So PPACG has an $11.8 million budget, and, their number one is area on aging, and number two is transportation. So those cuts coming down potentially are going to have some impacts in our area. So as Councilmember Duncan was saying, go to ledge.colorado. If there's a subject that interests you, put it in the box up there in the search engine, and make sure you hit 2025 though, because it'll go way back for pulling up bills. So a lot of stuff going on. Okay, that takes us on to public to be heard. I have no cards tonight. Okay, we have no cards, so that takes us on to item number 7, consent agenda. All items listed under consent agenda are considered routine and will be approved with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of those items unless a council member or citizen so requests, in which the item may be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately at the discretion of council. We have items A, B, C, and D. Who on the dais would like to make a motion for a? Go ahead.
I'd like to move to approve consent.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further deliberation? Seeing none, please vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Rick, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Estes, how do you vote?
Yes.
I have 7 yes, motion carried.
Okay, thank you. And that takes us on to item 8, old business. There is none. Item 9, new business. Item 9A, consideration of items removed from consent agenda. There were none. Item 9B, resolution number 25-011, a resolution authorizing Schmidt Construction to provide professional road maintenance on 2 resurfacing projects throughout the city and amend the FY 2025 budget. Mr. McDonald.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Come before you tonight in reference to the resolution authorizing Schmidt Construction to provide the road paving for this year on two projects throughout the city, and as mentioned, to amend the 2025 budget. And I'll give you a little background on this. Our current projects this year for mill and overlay are Fountain Mesa Road from CNS Road up to Cross Creek. And we're basically continuing that Fountain Mesa project as far north as we can get. And based on current budget numbers, that's as far as I could go this year. We're trying to get up to Highway 16, but just couldn't quite make it. And the next one is Camden Boulevard, which is over on the business side, up north from Plaza Boulevard to Center Valley Drive. The bids that came in on this roadway, or these 2 roadways, were approximately $815,000 for the 2 roadways. Current budget for streets resurfacing is about $660,000. So we're a little bit short on that, and it doesn't include the chip seal projects that we're trying to get done also. After subtracting the next resolution that I'm going to be bringing forward, we got about a $362,000 shortfall. The current streets resurfacing fund, part of the Moving Fountain Forward Fund, has approximately $500,000 surplus in that fund right now. So that has been allocated specifically for road resurfacing, so it is there to utilize. I'm making a motion to utilize $362,000 of that $500,000 so that we can complete these projects this year. And the next ones I'll explain once we go over the chip seal. But this one would be authorizing the $815,000 for the resurfacing of Fountain Mesa Road from CNS to Cross Creek, Camden Boulevard from Plaza to Center Valley Drive, and then authorizing the use of $362,000 of the $500,000 out of the Moving Fountain Forward resurfacing fund.
Okay, thank you very much.
That-
Are there any questions up here on the dais?
I have a question, but I'll save it for after this motion.
Oh, this is for the next motion? Okay. All right, is there any questions from the audience? Is there any questions from either one of my council members online? Okay, don't see your hands raised? Okay. All right, I'll bring it back up here. And what would council like to do with this? Councilmember Geek?
I'll try this. I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 25-11, a resolution authorizing Schmidt Construction to provide professional road maintenance on 2 resurfacing projects throughout the city and amend the fiscal year 2025 budget.
All right, just lean to the mic a little closer
Okay.
next time. Okay. All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further deliberation? Seeing none, please vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Rick, how do you vote? Mayor Pro Tem Rick, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Estes, how do you vote?
Yes.
I have 7 yes, motion carried.
All right, thank you very much. That takes us on to item 9C. Resolution number 25-012, a resolution authorizing the hiring of A1 Chip Seal to provide professional road maintenance on 2 projects in the city. Mr. McDonald.
And again, this resolution is for the kind of the second part of our resurfacing. This is for the chip seal part. Our goal this year is to kind of go back and do as much as we can in reference to what they call pavement preservation. So in the past, even on the few roads that we do get to pave every year based on the current city's budget, normally those roads are left alone until they start falling apart again. Part of saving money overall, and it's kind of like, I think I compared it to a trip to the dentist office, is that preventative maintenance that we try to get, once or twice a year, and that you pay very few dollars to go get your teeth cleaned and make sure they're good. But if you wait 4 or 5 years, then all of a sudden you're having root canals and it's costing you thousands and thousands of dollars to try to reconstruct something that you could have taken care of very cheaply going along the way. Pavement preservation is kind of like that. When you repave a road, or especially when you rebuild a road, best practice is always to go back about 5 years after and put a treatment on that road again, a very relatively inexpensive treatment compared and based on roadway preservation. This puts basically what they call a wear course on that pavement, seals cracks, rehabilitates the asphalt that's there, and gives it a wear course that adds another 7 to 9 years of life on that road before you have to do another type of pavement preservation on that roadway. So these 2 chip seal programs are meant to do that. The first one would be Fountain Mesa Road from Ohio to Harvest Moon. If you remember, probably about 6 years ago, the water department actually funded the repaving of that roadway, where we did a 3-inch mill and overlay, a little bit more expensive project, and that's why part of our paving project on the north side is more expensive also, because we can't just do a 2-inch mill and overlay. We had to go deeper. So when we did that, of course, it's coming on. We're about 5 or 6 years into that now, so it's just time for that chip seal, again, to keep that road in good condition, so it doesn't cost us more money down the road to try to rebuild it. The second one is Jimmy Camp Road from Link up to Como Bay, pretty much close to where the apartment buildings are there, from Link all the way north. Same thing, Kiewit did that roadway about 5 years ago, and so it's just time. We did crack seal on that road last year with our streets crews, and it's time to get a 1/4-inch chip seal in there again, just to provide a wear course and keep that road in good shape based on the amount of traffic that it sees. Current cost again for those projects is about $205,000 with the 5% contingency added. So that would take care of those 2 roadways. We shouldn't have to touch or do very much to those roadways for another 5 to 7 years, hopefully, or 7 to 9 years if it lasts the way it should. So again, asking for that $205,000 with the 5% contingency included to complete those projects in 2025.
Can that project be done when the kids are out of school?
Both of them are scheduled to do when the kids are out of school. We're trying to get done. Our biggest goal is based on the amount of quantity. I'm always a little bit behind the power curve in being able to put much of a demand on our contractors. Because with 2C in the Springs, they're spending tens of millions of dollars on these projects, so they try to fit us in. I will tell you that right now, we are currently on the schedule with our asphalt resurfacing, the Fountain Mesa and the Camden project, hopefully the end of May. I've been negotiating these based on these contracts expiring in April. I'm trying to get these contracts signed and ready to go, so I don't have to go back out to bid again this year. And based on that early work that I've done, we're hoping to get both these projects done by July timeframe before school starts again. So I'm pretty confident about the resurfacing, and I've had several discussions with A1 Chip Seal based on its location in front of the school that it really needs to be done when the hours are out. The nice thing about chip seal, though, worst case scenario, is we're not closing roadways. Basically, when you chip seal a roadway, you can drive on it 10 minutes after it's chipped. So it would minimize delays, at least if we couldn't get it done before school starts again.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Councilmember Hinton.
Don't mind me tonight, Bob. Just my blood sugar's low, so I'm a little cranky. What state would you give a grade on our roads in the city of Fountain? So if you had to give a grade, what grade would you give it?
Poor to failing overall. I was scheduled tonight. It got pushed off. I'll be talking to you in May. But based on our pavement quality index that Stantec done, we have that road matrix. We're down about 28 right now, which is just above failing. Remember, about 75% of the city roadways are residentials, and our residential PQI is about a 17. So our residential roads are failing, and they are pretty much gone. We've got a few that are in good shape that are in, the newer ones that were just built, of course, are in better condition, but the majority of our roadways in the city, probably about 50% of our residential roadways are probably in a failed state, where again, we can't do any of these mill and overlay projects. They are a rebuild, which is 3 times the cost of a repave. So we've got some significant challenges ahead of us in the next few years, and I'll go over those stats you can see how much pavement and asphalt that we're putting down, trying to keep these roadways drivable, but we are kind of fighting a losing battle. Based on the moisture, we haven't had any really big snowstorms this year, but we've had enough moisture to just turn these roads into Swiss cheese. And based on the current condition of them, the freeze-thaw cycles that we're seeing right now just absolutely destroys what's left of the roadways.
All right. Thank you for the update. Appreciate it.
All right, anybody else up here have any questions for Bob? Anyone online? Okay, there's no hands online. Anybody in the audience have any questions? Okay, I'll bring it back up here. What would council like to do with item 9C? Councilmember Hinton?
I make a motion to approve resolution number 25-012.
Councilmember Duncan?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further deliberation? Seeing none, please vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Rick, how do you vote? Mayor Pro Tem Rick, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Estes, how do you vote?
Yes.
I have 7 yes, motion carried.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Rick and Councilmember Estes, do you have any agenda requests tonight?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Nothing tonight.
Thank you. Anybody down to the right have any agenda requests tonight? Nope, okay, no agenda requests tonight. Okay, all righty. Does this thing record the vote, because it says 5?
It records the vote of those who are present, and I
Okay.
record the 2 that are
I
virtual
just
for a
wanted to
total of
make sure.
7.
Okay, you
Correct,
have it.
yes.
Okay, it just looked weird when you look up there, so, okay, thank you. All righty, so it looks like we have an announcement of an executive session.
That's correct, Madam Mayor.
Okay, in accordance, go ahead, Joni, I'll let you read it.
That's okay. In accordance with the city charter and the Colorado Open Meetings Act, the city council open session is to determine whether it will hold a closed executive session. A closed executive session may be held upon an affirmative vote of 2/3 of a quorum present. If consent of the closed executive session is not given, the items may be discussed in open session or withdrawn from consideration. The purpose of tonight's executive session is for the purpose of review, approval, and amendment of the executive session minutes, and for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions pending litigation involving the Fountain Police Department. Madam Mayor.
Okay, that is the request from our city clerk to go into executive session. Do we have a motion? Councilmember Hertzberg.
I move we go into executive session.
Councilmember Hinton.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
I'm going to take a verbal vote.
Okay.
Mayor Thompson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rick, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Hinton, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Geek, how do you vote? Councilmember Estes, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Duncan, how do you vote?
Yes.
I have 7 yes, motion carried. Oh, sorry. Councilmember Hertzberg, thank you. I have 7 yes, still motion carried.
Thank you very much, and this meeting is adjourned. And everybody, let's try to be back by 7.